That's right. That's right. Good evening. I want to welcome everybody to the April the 13th, 2026 Board of Supervisors regular meeting. And if I could ask Pastor Angie Bartlett from New Covenant Community Church to please come up and give us your blessings and the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Pastor Angela Bartlett with New Covenant Community Church, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to open this meeting in prayer. I want to also remind you of our National Day of Prayer that's coming up on May 7th, and I want to thank New Kent for always supporting us in the National Day of Prayer. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you, Lord God, for tonight. I thank you, Lord God, for this meeting. Father God, just open our hearts and our minds, Lord God, that we will receive everything that you have for us, Lord God. Keep the meeting in order and keep all of us on an even page tonight. Father God, we thank you in advance for all the business that we know will be handled here tonight. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Bartlett. We appreciate it. First thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. I got it circled right there. Roll call. I'm sorry. Ms. Watkins, would you do the roll call?
Mr. Evelyn? Here. Mr. Moyer?
Here.
Ms. Pearson?
Here.
Mr. Steers?
Here.
And Ms. Stewart?
Here.
Thank you. All right, next is the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions or any discussions about the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Hathaway, number 5D, this is a new vendor for the audit, correct?
Yes, our contract with our previous firm expired. We've put that out to bid by advertising a request for proposals, and we're recommending that the county goes with PB Maris LLP for our auditing services. And I think it's good to switch up every 3 to 5 years.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. I think it's good that we're switching it up and not staying with the same firm.
We do that every 2 years, right?
We audit every year.
I mean, we switch firms every 2 years.
No,
3
not
years.
necessarily.
Okay, 3, okay.
5 years.
Depends
Okay.
on the RFP.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Next on the agenda is,
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the consent
I'm sorry.
agenda as presented.
thank you. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Next, we have special recognition of Mr. Charles M. Davis and Mr. Lawrence E. Hayslip, and I'll let Ms. Jordan Stewart, if you'll make your presentation first,
Sure. Do you want me to sit here? Do you want me to...
whatever you feel comfortable with.
I'll sit here, and then you guys can awkwardly watch me walk down there to give you the certificate, Mr. Davis, so we don't have to stand next to each other. Just to start, I would like to thank you, Mr. Davis. 1985, several things happened that year. Ronald Reagan was president. New Kent had a population of around 9,000. The first seatbelt law was enacted. My parents were still in high school. And Food Lion was probably still the only grocery store in New Kent. But the most important thing that happened that year was Mr. Charles Davis began his time with our EDA. I'm not sure that it was called EDA then, but now everybody has to wear a seatbelt in the car. So you can imagine the immense changes that have happened globally, nationally, and here in Little New Kent. I just want to thank you very much for your dedicated service. I know that it's immeasurable, and the words in this official document cannot accurately describe the gratitude that I have for you in doing it. So now I'll read it. A resolution in honor of Charles M. Davis, recognizing his distinguished service on the New Kent County Economic Development Authority. Whereas Mr. Charles M. Davis has provided 40 years of dedicated and distinguished service to the citizens of New Kent County as a District 5 representative on the New Kent County Economic Development Authority. And whereas throughout his tenure, Mr. Davis demonstrated a steadfast commitment to advancing economic growth, sound development practices, and the long-term prosperity of New Kent County. And whereas during Mr. Davis's service, New Kent County experienced substantial economic development activity and growth, including the establishment of the Colonial Downs Thoroughbred Racing Track. And whereas this period also included significant construction and the expansion of the county's public utility system, providing essential infrastructure to support economic development and community needs. And whereas major industrial and commercial investments were realized during Mr. Davis's tenure, including the Buc-ee's Travel Center, AutoZone Warehouse and Distribution Center, Target Warehouse and Distribution Center, resulting in job creation, increased tax base, and enhanced economic vitality for New Kent County. And whereas Mr. Davis's leadership, institutional knowledge, dedication to public service have made a lasting and positive impact on District 5 and the county as a whole. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Kent County Board of Supervisors hereby expresses its sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Charles M. Davis for 40 years of exemplary service as District 5's representative to the New Kent County Economic Development Authority. And be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors commends Mr. Davis for his vision, leadership, and unwavering commitment to the economic advancement and quality of life of New Kent County. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Mr. Davis as a permanent expression of the board's respect and appreciation.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Moore, would you like to make your presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman. I too have the accommodations that Mr. Hayslip has given to the county. The amount of time he has devoted to the county is immeasurable. Also, his words of wisdom have been taken to heart by myself in a couple of meetings that we had separately. And I realize how important he's been to the community. So I'd like to read the resolution, a resolution in honor of Lawrence E. Hayslip, Jr., recognizing his distinguished service on the New Kent County Economic Development Authority. Whereas Mr. Lawrence E. Hayslip, Jr. has provided 18 years of dedication and distinguished service to the citizens of New Kent County as District 2 representative on the New Kent County Economic Development Authority. And whereas throughout his tenure, Mr. Hayslip demonstrated a steadfast commitment to advancing economic growth, sound development practice, and long-term prosperity of New Kent County. And whereas during Mr. Hayslip's service, New Kent County experienced substantial economic development, activity, and growth, including the reopening of the Colonial Downs Thoroughbred Racing Track. And whereas this period also included significant construction and expansion of the county's public utility system, providing essential infrastructure to support economic development and community needs. And whereas major industrial and commercial investment were realized during Mr. Hayslip's tenure, including the Buc-ee's Travel Center, AutoZone Warehousing Distribution Center, and the Target Warehouse and Distribution Center, resulting in job creation, increased tax base, and enhanced economic vitality for New Kent County. And whereas Mr. Hayslip's leadership, institutional knowledge, and dedication to public service have made a lasting and positive impact on District 2 and the county as a whole. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Kent County Board of Supervisors hereby express its sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Lawrence E. Hayslip, Jr. for 18 years of exemplary service as District 2 representative to the New Kent County Economic Development Authority, and be it therefore furthermore resolved that the Board of Supervisors commends Mr. Hayslip for his vision, leadership, and unwavering commitment to the economic advancement and quality of life of New Kent County, and be it further resolved that a copy of the resolution to be presented to Mr. Hayslip as a permanent expression of the Board's respect and appreciation. Signed, Mr. Hathaway and Mr. Steers. If I could have Mr. Hayslip.
Thank you, Mr. Hayslip.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could, I would just like to thank these two gentlemen. I've known them my whole life. I consider them very good friends, family friends, and they have guided me my entire time on the board. They have told me things I didn't want to hear. I should have heard, but I appreciate both of your guidance over the years. We've done a lot for New Kent over the last 18 years, and something you two both should be proud of, and I'm proud to be part of what y'all have done here in New Kent. So thank you both for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Evelyn. I'm going to skip down to the residency administrator's report for Philip Frazier so that he can get back to taking care of all the roads in New Kent County. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Philip Frazier with VDOT. I'm going to keep it pretty short and sweet tonight. Just give you a general maintenance update. Been doing a lot of pothole patching, road grading, ditching, that type of work. A lot of our focus this time of the year is on doing maintenance on roads that are going to be part of our resurfacing schedule. So that's really where a lot of our focus has been. Ms. Pearson, a couple notes for you. You had reached out about Stage Road. Just want to let you know I actually got a chance to ride down Stage Road today. The piece I was talking about was further on the other side of town, but the 249 piece, we saw there's definitely some needs of pavement repairs. Looks like they did some pothole patching, some just general patches, but we're going to readdress that and come back, take another look. Also want to let you know that we do plan to pick up speed again on Clark Road within the next few weeks, so that's going to be a huge effort that we undertake over the next month and a half. So,
Thank you, sir.
that's all I got. I'll take any questions.
Any other, Ms. Stewart, do you have any questions?
No questions, just one note of thanks. So at our last meeting, I told you about the stop sign, and it was fixed the next day. The resident that complained to me about it called to let me know it was fixed the next day, so I appreciate the very fast service. And then on Holly Fork Road going towards West Point near 5921, there's a large wash on the side of the road on the left. I don't know what direction that is, but going towards West Point, they said.
So a washout?
Yes.
Okay.
So, but that's all I've got this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I appreciate you doing that, Mr. Frazier, with Stage Road. I've gotten, a few calls on that. I would just like to know how far are we on 106, the bridge, and are we ahead of schedule? Are we on schedule?
So I believe they're tracking right on schedule. Talking to the construction team, it sounds like they are expecting to switch traffic over towards the end of May. So if you remember, we're building that bridge in two phases. You build the new bridge first, switch traffic over there, demo the old bridge, or the new part of the bridge. Sorry, the new bridge will come with the future project. But that's how we're replacing that two-lane bridge right now. So I would expect them to start phase 2 in about 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah.
Mr. Moyer?
Thank you very much for all you do, and thank you for your superintendent, Mr. Taggart. He's an easy phone call or text away, and he handles a lot of problems. Thanks.
Got it.
Mr. Evelyn?
I know y'all been fixing a lot of potholes, but on your radar, whenever you get a chance, the dirt roads in my district, whenever you get a steel trap, St. Peter's, you get them on your list when you get a chance. But
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Got it.
thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Frazier, do you have an update on the permanent roundabout construction at Kentland Trail and 155?
Yeah, so what I'm tracking right now is that project is going to be advertised for construction this fall, into the summer, this fall.
In construction to start when?
So construction after an advertisement typically starts about 3 to 4 months. So you have the ad period, which goes about 6 weeks. Then you have an award period. Then they get a notice to proceed, and that's when it would start. So I would imagine they will start breaking ground in beginning of 2027.
Okay, so you think it'll be before racing season starts?
Before they will start construction or
Yep.
finish? I do not.
Start.
Yes, I do think that there is, if it is advertised on time and there's no issues with awarding it, then I do think that they would start before racing season. I will say this, we've talked a couple times about putting in some language into the contract that states certain times of the year to restrict any kind of work zones to alleviate the strain on some of the hotter racing weekends,
Okay.
which I believe were in May. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So March will be the Derby weekend, and then they'll pick up racing again, usually
Yeah.
June,
July.
Okay. I know someone on my team was reaching out about some of the certain weekends that we were trying to avoid. And again, that's as simple as putting some language in the contract that says, no work could be conducted during that time.
Okay. And I want to reiterate what Mr. Moyer said about Phil Taggart. I got a phone or an email from a gentleman who lives in Brickshire on March the 10th at 4:13 in the afternoon. That was on a Friday. And he said he had a huge pothole in the middle of his front yard or in the middle of the street. And right down farther, about 50 yards, was another big pothole. And I called Phil, and he said, well, I've got some guys in the area. I'll see if I can get over there and get it fixed. And within 47 minutes, 2 major potholes were filled in Brickshire, and he sent back and said he could not believe it. And I said, don't get used to it. Okay. But anyway, great guy, and he works to keep us all happy. And we appreciate everything you do.
I'm glad you guys like Phil. I do too.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
You got it. All right. Y'all have a good one, and I will see you next time.
All right, next on the agenda is the Technology Overlay District discussion. And I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. And I want to start out by thanking our staff, Lindsay Hart, and our EDA administrator, and Josh Iragi, and Patrick Silva, all the research and hard work they have given to the data center qualifications. Over the past couple months, there have been several town hall meetings throughout the county, and the number one issue was potential data centers in New Kent County. I want to make it clear that the county does not currently have any development applications for a data center, nor are we working with any property owners regarding a potential data center project at this time. I've spent countless hours researching data centers in Virginia and other states. I have spoken to Board of Supervisors in Goochland County and James City County. One supervisor I spoke with in Goochland County, Mr. Jonathan Lyle, said that Goochland County was in the process of deciding to pass the Technology Overlay District. Also spoke with Goochland Supervisor Jonathan Christie, and he agrees with me. If you adopt a Technology Overlay District, you have put your county on the map as welcoming data centers. John McClendon stated that there was a little space for a data center in James City County. Data centers are the newest fad for many localities because of the potential increase in tax revenue. However, money is not everything. There is peace of mind and tranquility of rural living. With many concerns about water consumption, power consumption, and noise pollution, I am convinced that data centers do not belong in New Kent County. New Kent is not Henrico. We are not Gooseland or Powhatan. We are next to the historic triangle of Williamsburg, Yorktown, and Jamestown. New Kent has a long history that's similar to our adjacent counties to the east. I do not represent solar farms or data centers. I represent the people of New Kent County. And as chairman of the Board of Supervisors, I'm asking my fellow board members to oppose adopting the Technology Overlay District. I believe the adoption would be an invitation to data centers to locate in New Kent County. Thank you. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the citizens' comment period. Anybody sign up? A couple? Thank you. Okay, when I call out your name, if you will please come to the podium and state your name and address. You have approximately 3 minutes to speak. First person is Tom English.
Thank you, Mr. Steers. My name is Tom English. I'm in District 3, 7100 Old Camp Road. There seems to be something in the air because I've done research, as Mr. Steers has, over several days, and I see so many localities where the people said we do not want data centers and their leaders have disregarded them. But I have written an editorial which I sent today to the New Kent Chronicle, and I'd like to read it to you. It will keep me from rambling. It will keep me from ranting. Our Board of Supervisors are preparing to vote on the draft of a misguided and ill-advised technology overlay district that will create a, quote, slightly streamlined process to entice data centers to locate within TOD boundaries, end quote. I am quoting from the TOD presentation. A streamlined process to make building data centers more convenient will also make New Kent more inviting to the companies that build these 8-story monstrosities. New Kent doesn't need to, quote, entice the construction of data centers along Route 33. We need to create heavy regulations and onerous standards, insurmountable obstacles to their construction, which will make our county a very unappealing place for them. Data centers attract more data centers. And research reveals that wherever data centers are located, the people of those localities have increased utility bills up to 240% and a severe negative impact on their environments. Noise that causes migraines, agitation, and stress to people, pets, and livestock. Vibrations that disturb sleep and can lead to cardiovascular problems. Light pollution obscuring the stars at night, and islands of heat that affect people up to 6 miles away. Data centers create very few jobs, and those who work those jobs usually commute from other localities. After all, they don't want to live near a data center. Increased tax revenue, but at the high cost of improving current infrastructure while depreciating home values, losing current residents, and failing to attract new ones. Again, no one wants to live in a community dominated by data centers. Most people understand this. Hopefully, our board understands it as well. To my New Kent neighbors, speak up now, or you may soon be saying goodbye to peace and quiet, still nights and starry skies, sensible electric bills, and the unique flavor, rural flavor of New Kent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. English. Next is Shelley Wiggins.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. I'm not here to talk about a data center. My name is Shelley Wiggins, and I reside at 8940 Rock Cedar Road. I also serve as the Executive Director of New Kent Christian Academy. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. As I've shared through an email dated January 13, 2026 to each of you, and many conversations since that original email, I am here to respectfully ask for your support in approving the school board's transportation budget for the 2026-2027 school year, specifically to continue transportation services to our center for George Watkins Elementary School students. Currently, 36 George Watkins Elementary School students rely on New Kent County Public School transportation to and from our academy each day. In addition, New Kent Christian Academy transports 16 students ourselves to New Kent Elementary School. These numbers are not only consistent, but they are also projected to remain steady into the upcoming school year. But beyond the numbers, I want to share what this truly represents. In New Kent County, our center is not simply childcare. It is a reliable and safe place for their children to land before and after school. It is a place where students are known, cared for, and supported socially and emotionally. Honestly, these children are my children. This need became even more evident during this past winter when we experienced multiple unplanned school closures. During those times, our academy remained a constant and dependable resource for families who still needed to work and ensure their children were safe. Without continued transportation, many families will face significant hardship. Some may be forced to make difficult decisions about employment, while others may struggle to find safe and consistent care for their children. This partnership between New Kent County Public Schools and local child care centers like ours is not just about logistics. It is about supporting families and ensuring children have a safe, stable environment beyond the classroom. I am beyond proud to serve this community for the last almost 10 years and to partner alongside our public schools in supporting New Kent families. I respectfully ask that you approve the requested New Kent County School Budget's transportation funding so we can continue providing this vital service together. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your commitment to the families of New Kent County.
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question for Ms. Wiggins, if that's okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
Where'd you go? I lost you. The students that you transport yourselves to New Kent Elementary School, do you collect the same rate of tuition from them as you do the other students? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And just so you also know, our rates do not change regardless of whether the student is there all day or not. So in other words, our rates stay the same even when schools are closed or planned and unplanned. Our rates don't change. We don't charge families extra.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Next is Gary Rose.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Supervisors. I appreciate the opportunity. I want to talk about the data centers. I moved to New Kent in 2011 with my beautiful bride, and I've traveled all over the world, all over the country. I was in the brake manufacturing business my entire career, so I had the opportunity in my travels. I've seen a lot of growth throughout the country, and I've been into many nice rural communities that have had data centers, and quite honestly, the ones that got data centers, they have buyer's remorse. The people that I spoke with, the people that I engaged with, I found no one that didn't have any buyer's remorse. When I moved here, and in my travels, people would say, well, where do you live? And I say, I live in New Kent County. I said, it's right near Williamsburg, where it all started. And I said, they said, well, how do you like it there? I said, well, where I live, Domino's doesn't deliver. And that's the way it was when I started here. And I'm not opposed to growth. This county needs growth. I think the county's growing too fast, quite frankly. The infrastructure is not keeping up with it. And I think this county is looking at swallowing whales when they should be looking at guppies, because they can grow into whales over time and benefit the community. I'm here not for me. I'm here for the future generations. The data center, there's a lot of negatives. I don't hear a whole lot of positives. People talk about the employment that they bring. Most of that employment leaves after the construction is done. The vast majority of the employment is to build those centers. And I know people that work in the data centers, so they don't employ a lot of people on a full-time basis. So, that's not a positive. They use a lot of water. They are power hungry. I mean, they are power hogs. And again, I'm not here for myself. I made the wise choice, probably one of the smartest decisions I've ever made. I went solar several years ago. And I look online and I see what the people are talking about already before a data center. And let me just give you my experience. Solar's been great for me. 9 months out of the year, I have $8.63 electric bill from Dominion Power. It's been a great investment. But I can tell you in February, my most recent bill, the dollar amount went up by 40%, and my usage went down by 20%. So imagine what's going to happen after the power surge comes to town. Bottom line is, New Kent does not need a data center, and you should do everything in your power to make it very difficult for them to bring data centers to New Kent County. Keep it the way it is. There's too much history. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Word. Next is Patty Peterson.
Good evening, Chairman and Board. I'll keep it short and simple because you've all heard, no one wants it. I've attended all 3 town hall meetings, and all of them were packed, and there was no one that wanted the TODs, the data centers, the buy rights, none of it. So I'm just really tired of every 5 years or so, y'all come up with something to dump on District 5 that no one wants anywhere else. And you just don't need that in Barhamsville. Don't want no TOD, no data centers, and no buy right of anything, because we need to have a vote on whatever you come up with. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Connie Terry.
Good evening. My name is Connie Terry, and I'm the owner of a Little Piece of Heaven daycare here in New Kent County. And I want to thank y'all for the opportunity to speak tonight. And I'm just going to sort of piggyback off of Shelley. Want to put a face with the letters I'm sure y'all have been getting, but just to address the importance of continuing the transportation to the daycare centers. I'm not here just as a business owner, but as someone who works closely with families every day, families who rely on consistency, stability, and support. Currently, approximately 70 children from the 3 daycare centers in Quinton area are transported to and from George Watkins Elementary School. This system is efficient, using a short route, centralized, safe pickup locations. We are simply asking that one bus continue to serve these daycare locations to avoid disrupting the children's stability and daily routine. The proposed change would eliminate that transportation to daycares outside of the Watkins district. While I understand the need to evaluate budget and logistics, this change creates a much larger problem than it solves. Families are being asked to make very difficult choices by applying for variances, which are not guaranteed. They're a first-come, first-served basis. They depend on the number of students within the schools. It also creates the uncertainty and disruption of the children's educational and social stability. Or they've been told that they can just drop off their kids at school and pick them up, which is, of course, not realistic for working parents. If transportation shifts from centralized daycare pickups to individual home stops, we could go from 3 stops to 60-plus stops. That increases time, cost, and complexity, not just for families, but for the county as well. But beyond logistics, this is about the children. Children thrive on routine. They depend on familiar environments, relationships, and consistency. Disrupting that can have real emotional, academic consequences. The daycares provide more than childcare. We provide structure, stability, and support for working families who depend on a system that is currently working well. This change would also impact local childcare providers who support working families every day. If families are forced to leave established programs due to transportation challenges, it creates instability not only for the children, but for the child care network that our community depends on. We recently met with Dr. Nichols, and he expressed a willingness to explore the solutions. We just ask respectfully that you support that solution moving forward. We're not asking for something new. We're asking to preserve something that already works. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. Next is Kirsten Krosick. Did I say that right? Krosick. Close.
Yeah, pretty good.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kirsten Krosick. I live in Lenexa. Also speaking about the data center, I would like to just be one more resident that at least goes on the record saying that they are against the approval of the technology overlay district. Some of my comments, these are off the cuff, and these are a lot of comments that have been echoed already, right? I've been also on the internet seeing all these different county meetings having the same experiences, so we've all heard very similar things. As was said in one of the town halls, nobody here is a subject matter expert. I'm not. I would suppose none of you are subject matter experts in data centers. Unfortunately, there may even be a data center representative in this crowd. We don't know. Online watching, we don't know. There are experts out there, probably not any of us. But those experts that belong to the data center, they have unlimited personnel, they have unlimited money, they have unlimited legal representation. Once we approve this, and I hope we don't, once we approve this technology overlay district, this qualification, does it protect us or does it hamstring us? I'm not a lawyer, but I would argue that once qualifications are met by a data center, that once it's officially approved, the TOD, and some data center comes in and meets those qualifications, that we essentially open ourselves up to a legal challenge if we then wish to change those parameters. I would just ask you to remember that they know more than we do. They're in this business. They work this issue, they manipulate the message, the words, the meaning. I don't understand why we're gambling like this. We know that no one will say that they're glad that a data center came here. At one of the town halls, One of the individuals up on the stage mentioned, well, we'll require a closed loop. We all know there are issues with that. You have to bleed it off. There's particulates out there. There's forever chemicals. One person mentioned, well, we'll make sure it's architecturally appealing. I don't know what that means. Jobs, limited. Taxes, not sure. That's the only positive. That's the only argument. What are the abatements? What are the rules? Do they really replace all their computers every 5 years, or do they not replace it, thereby reducing all of the tax base even more? It just feels like we're playing no-touch intramural flag football going up against the NFL. As I said in one of the town halls, I look at data centers primarily as a leech and a parasite, and we are their host. So I'm asking you to make us an inhospitable host and to vote no against the TOD. Thank you.
Sandy Godier.
I'm Sandy Godier. I live in Barhamsville, District 5. To begin, I want to make sure everybody here knows. We're being told that the area that the TOD is, nobody lives there. Nobody lives there. Oh, there are only 4 homes. That is bullshit. There are many people who live nearby. Eltham, a little town that has been here in New Kent County since 1647, Eltham, with over 200 homes in Eltham. Around the corner is Plum Point. Plum Point has been there since the early 1900s. There are 268 houses there with people living in them. What I am concerned about is that New Kent residents don't know a lot about the technology overlay district. A friend of mine just found out about it yesterday. She says, I'm just seeing this. I am back in DC right now, but my sister will attend the meeting tonight. If I can get involved, I'm going to. I thought the FAQs in the New Kent County government website section were illuminating. It discussed taking a, quote, proactive response, unquote, to any data center that will, quote, inevitably, unquote, come. They aren't going to inevitably come unless the county sets the framework for them, which is exactly what this overlay does. Her last word in this message to me, disgusting. Thank you.
Next on the list is Isabel Jarvis.
I'm Isabel Davis Jarvis. I've been in New Kent for 85 years, and we've tried to keep our end of the county rural. We've paid our taxes. We haven't done anything to y'all. And y'all, we don't need this data center. And half the people don't know it's being proposed. So we want you to vote no. If you want it next door to your house, vote for it. But otherwise, put no, because we don't want it. And this will devaluate everything we've got and worked for our entire life, the sound and everything. So please let us have peace and quiet until we are gone. Vote no, we don't want it. And that's all I can say. Thank you.
Next on the list is Sarah Meredith.
Chairman Sears. Sarah Meredith, 5030 New Kent Highway.
Thank you.
So I'm from New Kent, and I've lived here most of my life. However, I lived in D.C. and Northern Virginia for the past few years, and I moved back to the county January this year. Since the TOD was proposed, I've sent multiple FOIA requests and asked several questions, both via email and in town halls. Most of the responses to my questions have not actually answered the questions I asked. I've asked about 4 things, which I have documents for residents if they want. I can leave those in the back. The first thing that I asked about was the reference in the Dewberry contract stating that New Kent County has received inquiries about whether locations in the county would be potentially suitable for data center sites. The second, the involvement of the Board of Supervisors in the TOD process after the Dewberry contract authorization, as referenced on slide 3 in the TOD presentation. The third thing that I asked about was Thomas Evelyn's November 2025 public comment at the Charles City Board of Supervisors meeting, where he spoke on behalf of Point One Data Centers and stated, quote, New Kent just recently had Kimley Horn conduct a study to identify data centers, but we narrowed it down to the Route 3033 corridor, an industrial area with no subdivisions or nearby homes, similar to Point One's land here. And the last thing that I asked about was the county's own internal documents that show ownership was a part of the methodology. Notably, in the ranking criteria, it states that Jonathan Kinney owned parcels, received special consideration, Tidewater Foundation and Crisscross properties are excluded, and that agricultural land is treated as ideal if owned by Jonathan Kinney. None of this was included in the TOD presentation. And I've asked these questions about these 4 things because New Kent residents deserve complete and accurate information about the processes and the decisions that affect them. They deserve to be the first ones to hear about it in their own public meetings. They deserve to have their own officials be impartial and put them first. Chairman Steers, this simply is not happening. So I'm asking you, what are you willing to do to give residents the priority, transparency, and accountability they need? Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Francavilla.
Hi there. My name is Bill Francavilla. I live in District 5 in Barhamsville, and let me take a second and thank each and every one of you for your service. Not everyone chooses to be a political figure and a public servant, and from the bottom of my heart, I mean it. It's a tough job. I'm here to speak regarding the data centers, of course. Seems to be a consensus among the group gathered here and also gathered in our New Kent County. I worked for many years in Oyster Point. People in my office said, "You live all the way up in New Kent? Why?" And my response was, because it's worth it. Because New Kent County is worth it. Since I've retired, I've chosen to volunteer with West Point Fire Department. We work in conjunction with New Kent, King William. We do CPR training. There's a couple of women here with daycares. We're happy to provide you with no-cost service if you choose. So many states and localities have pushed back on data centers. In fact, just this past month, the state of Maine said, we're hitting the pause button. We don't know enough about this. What is going on? Are we harming our people, our environment, our communities? Is this a short-term decision based on very, very short-term information? We all know the arguments. We know that carbon emissions, 4% of the nation's electricity use is devoted to data centers, more than half from fossil fuels, contributing to over 105 million tons of CO2 emissions. We know about the toxic air pollution, the nitrogen oxides, the public health costs, the forever chemicals, the electronic waste, the extreme water consumption, the water stress, the land use, the noise pollution, the rising utility bills. This is empirical data. We know this is happening. In good conscience, I cannot understand how anyone would consider voting forward for a data center. And one more item, ladies and gentlemen. This is just last week. There was a report that was presented by the Harvard Public Health Division. And unequivocally, they presented some empirical wisdom about the human costs. In Loudoun County, they did a study at the Vantage Data Center, up the road. $53 million to $99 million in annual health damages from Associated Health Division, among the largest health damage estimates, and this is relative to their data center. The damages were estimated, they're driven primarily by an estimated 3.4 to 6.5 additional premature deaths in that area up in Loudoun County, along with increased hospital admissions, asthma-related outcomes, and lost productivity. New Kent County is worth hanging on to what we have. It's our tradition, and I urge you to vote against this data center.
Next on the list is Dennis Walters.
Evening.
Evening.
First of all, I want to thank
State
Mr.
your address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dennis Walters, 7082 Lakeshore Drive in beautiful downtown Quinton, which is also in Woodhaven Shores. So I want to thank Mr. Steers for attending our annual meeting the other night. He took a lot. No, he didn't take a whole lot, but he took some for me, flack, and he bears it well, and he represents y'all pretty well up there. I talk about data centers, but I think the obvious minuses have already been expressed. I want to talk about Woodhaven Shores. It's a private community. We have our own wells. We supply our own water. We have our own roads. We keep them to the top of maintenance. And during the recent ice storm, you could drive on Woodhaven roads where you couldn't drive on county or state roads, which speaks highly of our maintenance group, which means we maintain what we have. We have come under fire from the Corps of Engineers for our dam. And we have addressed this before, and we're looking for funds. Not necessarily funds, but maybe guarantees that we won't default. We are trying to raise our own, but inevitably we do not have the base. We pay our county taxes like everybody else. We pay for the schools. We pay for all the real estate assessments that you have. And we think that the least the county can give back to us, after all, they don't have to maintain our roads, they don't have to service our water, and we have primarily our own septic systems. The least they can do is stand up and try to get some funds for us to rehabilitate the dam. And it's not a total rebuild or anything. They're just asking us to give a better spillway so that we don't wipe 60 off the map. And I think y'all are appreciative of that, especially with the increased traffic since the 64 renovation that throws everything onto 60, the 249 event, and numerous other reasons for it. The other thing I want to address is right after we had another public session where we expressed our desire to have it, and we were told that the county is not in a position to loan money. We're not asking for loans for money. We're asking for y'all to look for some funding. You've got more resources than we have. So if you just do that. Now, several of our members emailed the county board of supervisors. And you know how many responses we got from that? 0. Now, are we a redheaded stepchild here, or is anybody listening to us? I'm against the data centers, of course. I'm also against the funding of projects ahead of trying to secure the water. Water is not a big issue for us because we have our own well, but members on 249 and Berkshire will argue that point. I appreciate y'all's time, and I do wish you'd give us some consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was the last person signed up for the citizens' comments, so I'll close the citizens' comment period. And I think, Ms. Stewart, do you have a motion that you wanted to make?
Mr. Chair, yes, I do. And I will reiterate what I said at my town hall. You know, it's nice to see that people care and people are engaged. I think we had really robust turnouts at all of our town halls, and I just hope that engagement continues when we talk about things that are less exciting than data centers. And with that, I would like to move that our Board of Supervisors direct staff to discontinue the process for establishing a technology overlay district.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I thought,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing this ordinance. I mean, did I get a call from you today talking about this?
No, what she's trying to get through is we just don't want to adopt the overlay district.
So this means a data center can go anywhere in New Kent County?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It's very disappointing as chairman that you would not contact your board members and let them know that. I mean, we had talked about transparency.
Yes, I did. Did I contact?
I mean, I know you care about being.
I did. I did.
I mean, there's a silent majority. Don't get me wrong. Nobody's sitting here saying there's no data center knocking on the door. We're trying to do what's right. We asked staff to do something, and now all you do is care about being reelected instead of what's doing being right.
Sir.
That's so disappointing. Well, I can tell you, Mr. Stairs, I'm very disappointed as chairman that you would not let us know that.
Sir.
We want to keep our voice.
How about some transparency?
You're out of order.
Okay.
There's a process for
Ms. Stewart, I'm not, I mean, I understand that. And I just wish that Mr. Steers would have contacted me because you care about, I think you said this before, you don't want to see something last minute. And
So I've said that before. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Finish.
But I'm just saying, as chairman, I thought I would have got a call that this was coming up. Nothing to do with you, Ms. Stewart, but I thought the chairman would call me because.
I thought there was communication about.
You thought you're chairman.
Okay, I appreciate
I'll say,
it.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Evelyn, my understanding is if we approve this motion, this just directs staff to discontinue the formal process for establishing a TOD, which means we still have the work that they have done to make informed decisions if we get a data center request. Is that incorrect, or is that a misunderstanding of the issue?
I think we were trying to, get on the forefront of this in case one did. Not saying that there's one even coming, but I just think we're not looking at this, the whole pit. Are you going to?
Well, like I said, I believe that if we adopt the technology overlay district, that's going to send a signal to data centers that
we're not voting on adopting.
Oh, I know, but I just don't want to adopt that overlay district.
Is that on the agenda to adopt that tonight?
It was.
Is that on the agenda to adopt that tonight?
No, it was not. But there's been conversations. I've had conversations with. I think I've had conversations with the other board members.
Mr. Sears, you did have a conversation with me last night, and this process has not. We've had community meetings. There's a difference between a community meeting and a public hearing. So why can't we let the process play out? I hear my residents that have contacted me so far are against it, and I hear that. And I plan on voting accordingly, but I would like to have public hearings and let the process play out. To do nothing is not an option. It's just not. We need to put an ordinance in place that restricts data centers so that they can't just come here and do whatever they want. Why are we rushing this process? The same people that are in this audience tonight came to all of the community meetings. What if there's other people that want to come? There's no advertisement that there was a public hearing tonight. There needs to be an advertisement in the paper so that all of New Kent County can come and speak about this. Not just the same people that came out to all three meetings.
As of now, a data center can go on A1, any piece of land in New Kent County. And you pass this, we're not doing anything tonight. Just making you feel good.
Okay. It's not about me, sir. It's about our citizens. Well, okay. I guess we'll just withdraw that motion.
If that's what you would like, I would withdraw the motion in hopes that we do continue this discussion and end with a product that represents the desires of District 3 and 5 and benefits all of the county.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, you never know. We may have a public meeting and somebody may say, I want a data center. That was great data. My wife wants to get your name so we can keep you in the loop, keep you wondering about some things. But that was great. Well, I read about the nitrogen oxides, and good to see you. Good to see you, sir.
I'd be happy to stay in contact with you. Frank Villa.
Okay. I'll call the meeting back to order. Next on the agenda is Resolution R-14-26, R1, exception request to additional requirements of the Commerce Corridor Overlay District from Josh McDonald, from Mr. Patrick Silva.
For the record, my name is Patrick Silva, Principal Planner with the county's planning team. And again, this evening I will be presenting on the aforementioned exception request. So pursuant to the county code, an exception request has been requested by Mr. Josh McDonald on behalf of Kimley Horn. This exception request is to the design requirements of the Commerce Corridor Overlay District. And for those who may not be familiar with what that district is, this was a district that was approved out of the Bottoms Bridge design requirements first passed in 2015, subsequently expanded to the county's main commercial thoroughfares in 2022. And again, the Commerce Corridor Overlay District is defined as being intended to protect the aesthetic and visual character of land, public health, safety, and welfare by managing growth within the county's primary highway corridors. So this ensures the continued viability of New Kent's primary corridors as economic development tools and enhances their visual quality. Now, the specific design requirement from the Commerce Corridor Overlay District is one which prohibits bay doors from facing public rights-of-ways within the overlay district. And the applicant is requesting this exception to allow bay doors on two proposed warehouse buildings to partially face towards Route 30. So this is the subject site in the given request. This is at the intersection of 33 and New Kent Highway. The parcel that is proposed to be developed, it's kind of bisected by two roads here. The portion that will be developed, though, is just this big piece outlined in yellow here. And while the applicant is still working to finalize and submit a site plan, again, their long-term vision is to build two sort of warehousing logistics styles buildings here, one at 257,000 square feet in the northwestern portion of this site, and then another one on the southern portion of the site that is 534,000 square feet rather, as currently designed. The site itself is zoned economic opportunity, which would allow these uses to be developed by right here, which is to say without the need for conditional use permit approval. However, portions of the subject property are located, again, within the Commerce Corridor Overlay District, which extends 500 feet outward from both of these thoroughfares. So I wanted to show a few images here of some of the existing conditions along the roadway. So these are taken, obviously, when the trees are not in full bloom. Obviously, some of the evergreens still have some coverage on them. But this is taken from the intersection of Route 33 and Route 30. There's some existing berming along this portion of the site's frontage, again, along 33 side. Then as we go down here onto Route 30 facing southeast, you can see that this berming continues around the corner down New Kent Highway. But then an image taken from the far other side of New Kent Highway looking back at 33, the topography kind of slopes downwards, and that berming does kind of level out to where the topography kind of runs parallel to the road. There is an existing 50-foot kind of mature vegetation buffer along the entirety of both frontages, which would be proposed to be maintained by the applicant. Now, in staff's consideration of the request, it was found that the requested exception would comply with the findings necessary in order to grant such an exception. Staff found that the exception request was reasonably necessary due to the significant physical constraints of the site with respect to the presence of both environmental resource protection area at the site, as well as a widely varied site topology. The combination of these factors significantly limits the site's buildable area and inhibits the applicant's ability to reconfigure the proposed site layout in such a way to orient the proposed bay doors away from Route 30. So this is an image of the sort of current site plan proposal. Again, no site plan has been submitted and certainly not approved at this point, but this is the conceptual drawing that we've been provided by the applicant. As you can see here, the presence of the varied site typology surrounding the two buildings and then the RPA, which is the kind of blue areas on this plan here, do make it very difficult to orient the buildings away from any right-of-way. So to mitigate some of the potential impacts that may stem from the bay doors facing the right-of-way, and in an effort to best adhere to the intent of and spirit of the Commerce Corridor Overlay District, the applicant has proposed to maintain the existing 50-foot visual landscape buffer between the proposed uses in Route 30 and Route 33, as well as communicated their intention to add additional evergreen landscaping within the site interior. So kind of a zoomed-in image for the building at the intersection of 33 and 30 can be seen here. The proposed additional landscaping can be seen here in green. And they would be proposing to plant a mix of Nellie Stevens hollies, giant arborvitaes, and Leland cypress, which are all ideal vegetation to be used in the case of visual screening. And the total proposed landscaping would constitute 15% beyond what the ordinance would typically require. And again, this would be intended to further screen the bay doors from view. Now, you all will likely recall that at your March 9th meeting, a motion was made to table the item, which was up for consideration last month, to allow the applicant to use the interim period to investigate the extent to which additional berms could be established along the site frontage on the eastern portion of Route 30, which does not have that existing berming that these other two images do. The applicant subsequently followed up providing an investigative summary to staff, which detailed their look at the potential to do so, add these additional berms. The applicant found that site conditions were such that additional berm construction was either unnecessary due to the existing topography along the northern portion of Route 30 and along 33, or would otherwise be not workable without causing counterproductive impacts by requiring the clearing of portions of the existing mature vegetation that constitutes the 50-foot buffer that is there right now, which will significantly help to screen the site from view post-development. So in conclusion, by reconciling the reasons for the exception request stated by the applicant in their request letter, the staff analysis of the request, and the findings necessary to grant such an exception as stated in the county code, staff is recommending approval of this exception request. In addition, at their February 17th meeting, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the exception request with the added conditions of approval that 1, the applicant would provide the aforementioned supplemental plantings beyond what the ordinance would normally require with the intention of further screening the bay doors from view, and 2, that the applicant design or decorate the bay doors in such a way as to be more aesthetically pleasing via accenting or a similar approach. I did also want to take a moment to mention that Stephen McCrae is in attendance this evening on behalf of the applicant team, Kimley Horn, in case the members of the board do have any questions for him as the applicant or with regard to Kimley Horn's look into the possibility of establishing additional berming at the site. So I will end my presentation there and happy to answer any questions the members of the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Any questions? Ms. Stewart?
I have a question. So my understanding is not much has changed from the last time we looked at this, correct? Except for they're willing to plant a few more trees. Is that my...
That's correct. I mean, and Stephen can probably speak a little bit more to the sort of environmental stormwater side of things for why additional berming on the southern portion of the site might not be viable. But they did, look into that and provide a detailing of their investigation of whether or not additional berming would be possible without affecting other screening considerations that we're working to kind of hide the doors from view.
Okay, so they are possible but been deemed unnecessary by the company? Because before, maybe you want to address that. Because I think what you had said is that they were unnecessary. So just want to make sure that's clear, whether it's necessary or just unnecessary, not possible.
Yeah, sure thing. This is Stephen McCrae with Kimley Horn. Appreciate the consideration. The berm, so the berm in the top left corner or the intersection of Route 33 and 30, there's an existing one there. So I think we're showing it. We've got it at currently 11 feet tall. So that's more than I think the last suggestion was asking us to investigate like a 4-foot tall berm or so. Elsewhere on the site, proposing the berm would either impact wetlands or RPA, or the berm is the size, the footprint of the berm was so large that it would force us to take out the existing vegetation that already screens it. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
And then Mr. Silva, do we in our code or anywhere define what aesthetically pleasing means?
We don't. That might be open to interpretation a little bit. There is not a sort of, the spirit of the regulations of the Commerce Corridor Overlay do speak to, especially with respect to like architectural materials, certain quality of materials, certain material types, certain facade designs, that sort of thing. The Planning Commission, in their recommendation with respect to making the bay doors aesthetically pleasing, kind of left that open to interpretation, but did provide the suggestion of accenting that was in line with the color scheme of the building, that sort of thing. Providing some flexibility was their intent.
And there's currently still no tenant for those buildings?
My understanding is no. Maybe Stephen can confirm
He's
that.
shaking his head no. So we don't know what that tenant would find aesthetically pleasing, whatever they may be, right?
It would be up to you, correct, Patrick?
Yeah, that's something that staff, it would be kind of open to staff to interpret with respect to the intent of that Planning Commission recommendation. So as we, whenever a site plan comes in for a building that is being developed within the bounds of the Commerce Corridor Overlay District, they do have the additional requirement of needing to provide us elevations of the building, color elevations at the site plan submission stage. So that requirement, should the board choose to approve an ordinance that does feature that Planning Commission recommendation, that's something that staff would be evaluating at the site plan stage and going back and forth with the applicant on to ensure is met. If the board did want to add additional specificity for what that meant, that is absolutely within their purview as well.
And maybe last question, Mr. Chair, away from the design or aesthetics of the building, did you all, in your analysis and recommendation of approving this, consider the tractor trailer traffic going directly into that building, how potentially it could be queuing on to 249?
So the traffic impact considerations are something that are evaluated very thoroughly at the site plan submission stage. Really, the sort of analysis that we conduct with respect to the Commerce Corridor Overlay exception stage is something that would result from, kind of verifying that the exception that would be granted to the design requirements themselves would not further worsen sort of traffic impact or traffic safety considerations. The sort of queuing considerations and any improvements that might need to be made to those right-of-ways is something that is evaluated very thoroughly at the site plan submission stage.
Because I have a little concern, especially with the construction going on the interstate. That area is always congested right now, and we know it's not going to be done for a long time. And I know some of the residents in Ms. Pearson in my district have expressed concerns about that as well. And I don't know, I'll shut up in a second and leave the rest to you all, but I just have a little bit of concern when we're talking about the importance of zoning and ordinance and all this, of granting exceptions to things that aren't built, that could be built to the rules that we've already established. So if we're all good with approving it, I'll be okay with approving it, but that's just kind of where I am at is, I don't know why we can't build it to the rules that we've already established if the rules are so important.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Ms. Pearson, do you have any?
Yeah, that was my concern too, was the traffic, because I did get contacted about that and the concern about the traffic. But so where would that be addressed in the process? Can you?
So when, like I mentioned, at this stage, they're just requesting an exception to a conceptual plan. When the site plan is formally submitted to the county, it's not only reviewed by us in planning, but also our Director of Transportation Development and VDOT themselves are reviewing site plan applications to ensure that all traffic safety, queuing, all of that sort of stuff is considered, and all appropriate local and state level requirements are met.
But if it's a conceptual plan, aren't we getting the cart before the horse? I mean, if it's a concept, it's a concept. So if the concept is not going to come to fruition, then why would we grant the exception?
That would allow the applicant to finalize their site plan design, proceed with submitting. I think the idea is that rather than submit do the full engineering required and the resources spent to draft a formal site plan that meets all of our requirements, and then request an exception and have to change those plans, that the exception be sought first so that can be taken into account when the final design for the entire project is put together.
So this would prohibit him from moving forward if we did not do this? Is that what you're saying?
I might let Stephen speak to that side of things. This is the design they have sought and is what they would like to move forward with. Again, we flagged for them this would potentially conflict with those requirements. They're requesting the exception. I can't speak for them to say this would make the project dead in the water or anything like that. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Sure. So your question was if this exception request was denied, I guess what's the next step? Is that effectively your question? But we would have to, ultimately that's a question for our developer in terms of if you all made requirements for us such that would change our layout significantly, then we'd have to go back to the developer and see if this is something that they still want to pursue. But frankly, it's ultimately a question for our developer.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Moyer.
Can we get any kind of comment through VDOT beforehand? Because they may not allow this at all at this interchange. Has it been taken to them at all?
So the traffic due diligence that's been performed to this point has been we created a due diligence memo using VDOT's different traffic counts and standard methodology for determining if turn lanes would be required, what would be the overall traffic impact. To Patrick's point, we still haven't done a first formal submittal to New Kent County and also to VDOT, at which point they would review, and then we wouldn't be able to proceed until we got approval from them in terms of if they want turn lanes, et cetera. And that's also, I believe New Kent County also has the right to request things like that. So does that answer your question? Okay. So.
One more thing I might add is the applicant did have a formal development review committee with the interdepartmental review team on this concept proposal. So those meetings involve all of the reviewers to whom the site plan would be routed for comment, and that included VDOT, and I believe there was even a pre-concept meeting prior to that. So VDOT has had eyes on this project, but obviously the formal comments come through with the site plan review.
Thank you. Definitely having comments.
So I guess there's a lot of RPAs in this area. So the only difference, the only exception you're asking for is the bay doors. So at the end of the day, you're asking for the two parcels. So if VDOT does not support your entrance, then it wouldn't happen. It really doesn't have anything to do with VDOT per se. It's more about you're asking for exception of the bay doors in our overlay district, correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct. That's what the exception's for.
I mean, Mr. Chair, I will say that we've granted the exception to fire stations. I mean, I know it's a different purpose, but I think we also did one further down the road, didn't we? Yeah.
You did, Curtis.
Right, and as long as it had the coverage, we were okay with it.
We've done a couple on 62.
I mean,
Mr. Silva, I think
Yes,
I asked
sir.
this at the earlier meeting, is what kind of products are going to be housed in these warehouses?
Unfortunately, I don't think I have a more specific answer for you than I did then, and maybe Stephen can speak to this a little bit more, but without an end user in mind, there's quite a range of products that could potentially be stored there. As far as it's been communicated to us, and again, at those development review committee meetings, fire department is one of the reviewers that's present. We were not made aware of any sort of hazardous materials that would be intended to be stored here or anything like that.
Mr. Silva, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair. Go ahead. Without looking at the overlay district, what other types of industry could be on this property? Because it's an economic development.
Yeah, that's a great question. The economic opportunity zoning designation is kind of a hybrid between our sort of business style zoning designations and what you could maybe consider as a light industrial zoning designation. So if we were to put aside for a moment the idea of the Commerce Corridor Overlay District being present here, it could be anything really from a fast food establishment to a shopping center, to, again, more light industrial style uses like a warehouse or a distribution center. It's really just the presence of the Commerce Corridor Overlay District that restricts the bay doors facing the right-of-way. If that was not there, then this use could be developed by right without any special approvals.
Thank you. Any other questions from any of the board members? If not, then I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt Resolution R-14-26R1 to approve the applicant's exception request to Section 98-1069A4 of the County Code, which prohibits bay doors from facing public rights of way within the Commerce Corridor Overlay District at tax map parcel number 37-1, GPIN I-28-0530-4515, with the conditions the Planning Commission stated.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer.
You're welcome.
Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is our public hearing, proposed tax levies for fiscal year 2027. Mr. Hathaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This evening, we have a public hearing for the FY fiscal year 27 tax rates, beginning July 1 through June 30th of next year. Sorry. Okay. And before I get into the tax rates, I'd just like to note that no action is required at this time. This item on the agenda is simply to receive public comment, and this is not the only day that the public can provide comments. They can email us, send us letters. There are additional opportunities to provide public comment on the tax rate before it is adopted. For next fiscal year, what is advertised is a 5-cent increase. And let me explain that a little bit. Our current rate is 60 cents per 100. This is a reassessment year for us, and the equalized rate was reduced to 54 cents per 100. So the actual advertised rate is 59 cents. Now, when we advertise real estate rates, we advertise worst-case scenarios because the board can always adopt a lower rate, but they cannot adopt a higher rate than what's been advertised. As we've discussed at our last meeting, my recommendation has changed slightly. Instead of the 5 cents as what's been advertised, I am recommending a 4-cent increase, which would be a tax rate of 58 cents. Still more than 20 cents lower than all of our neighbors surrounding us. It still keeps us incredibly low as far as real estate rate. With that 4 cents and the way we went from 5 to 4, I am recommending for the two big capital projects that have been proposed, which is the construction of the courthouse and the elementary school, that we put additional capital funds up front so we could borrow less, which would allow us to save a penny. That additional capital funds equals about $12.5 million, which we definitely have in our capital fund. A little bit about that 4 cents rate. 1 cent of the 4 cent rate is to cover operations. for next fiscal year. Operations in the tune of the hiring of additional firefighters. We heard earlier the request for additional school funding to assist with the school's transportation needs to transport existing funding is proposed. Cost of living increase. Unfortunately, most of our neighbors around us are doing 3. The funding would also go to our health care coverage and our premiums. That's what 1 cent. The other 3 cents is for the debt service to fund primarily 2 capital projects, which is the construction of a new courthouse and the construction of an elementary school. I've received a lot of comments on the courthouse project, and I just want to state publicly that this is not a new project. This has been a need for last 5 or 6 years at least. Courthouse staff has been requesting a new courthouse. Why now? We've just entered a window next year that makes it feasible to move forward with the courthouse, being that we will pay down some existing debt within the next 3 years. So therefore, we can move forward. We can put that savings towards the financing of a new courthouse. Also want to address, because I hear a lot from the public, that when they go to the courthouse, it feels like that there's plenty of space in the courthouse, the courtrooms, the public atrium areas. And I just want to state that those public-facing areas is not what's driving the need for a new courthouse. It's the back office areas that's driving the needs for the new courthouse. The areas that the general public usually don't get to see. They don't get to see the file cabinets and copier machines in the middle of hallways. They don't get to see closets that have been converted to office space, because there is no more office space in the courthouse. Also, with this courthouse project, it addresses another need. Right here in this administration building, there is no more office space. Nowhere to expand. We've moved walls. I've been working for the county for 20 years, and I think we've moved walls every way we could to get additional space. We've done all we could to expand here, and we are out of space. The plan is when we construct the new courthouse, we will do a small renovation to the existing courthouse and move administration offices in that building, therefore deferring the need for the construction of a new administration building. It's a lot of money. There's no way around it. But if we move this down the road, it's a need that's not going away. And if construction costs continue as they have, it's only going to get more expensive. So that is driving the 3 cent tax increase. But again, the total real estate increase proposed is 4 cents. Other than that, there are no other changes proposed other than the real property increases. Our personal property increases, especially personal property for vehicles. I'm proud to say we have one of the lowest in the region of personal property vehicle taxes. Only 2 other localities are lower than us, and that's because they have a lot of yachts, high-dollar yachts parking in marinas in those localities. So that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any question.
Thank you, Ms. Southway. You want to make any comments, or you want to wait to see? Do we have people's?
I just wanted to ask a clarifying
question.
I know, Mr. Hathaway, you said there's only a 2% COLA included, but we also are including a health insurance holiday and absorbing the cost of the increase of employee health insurance. Isn't that right?
That is true.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that is,
Which
while
is a
it's not an
benefit.
official COLA, it is an increase because they would be paying that if we weren't doing it. So
Yep.
just want to make sure the public is aware of that.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
And Mr. Chair, actually, some of the rates that came in, they're going to go down, aren't they, for health insurance? Like the
Yes.
employee share is going to go down because I think HR negotiated that with the different tiers of.
Yes.
of coverage.
We're proposing to establish some new tiers this year that will give some discounts to our employees if they have children. So instead of the family plan where we would cover spouses and children, employees will now have an opportunity to just cover their children for a reduced rate. We are one of the few localities. We are not legally required to provide health insurance to spouses, but that's another thing that I'm proud that we offer to our residents here, employees.
Any other comments? Cindy, did anybody sign up?
No, nobody signed up.
Okay, then I'll close the public hearing.
Okay.
Is there any other comments? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Next public hearing is the proposed amendments to Appendix A, fees of the New Kent County Code.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have before you proposed fee changes that are listed in Appendix A of the New Kent County Code. Each year during our budget process, I direct staff to look at the fees that they charge and make sure we're capturing the cost of delivering those services, and also to make sure that we're consistent with the market and other localities in the area. As a result of that analysis, we are proposing increases at our airport, our hangar fees. We charge the lowest hangar fees in the region. And even with the proposed increase, we will still be the lowest in the region, which is a reason that we have a significant wait list for people wanting to keep their planes at the New Kent Airport. So you see the increases there. There is also a minor increase proposed for the daily fee for the impoundment of dogs. It goes from $8 to 10 cents. And in the zoning and subdivision, you see a certificate of zoning fee for $50. We're actually charging this now, but it hasn't been put in our fee schedule. So we're adding this to our fee schedule. And that concludes the fee changes.
Okay, appreciate it. Did anybody sign up? No. Okay, then I will close the public hearing. And then next is the proposed amendments to Appendix B, Public Utility Fees of New Kent County Code. Mr. Hathaway.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. First, one of the reasons we're doing this set of fee changes separate is because our public utility funds is a separate fund. It is totally supported by the users of the system, and currently no tax dollars goes into supporting our public utility system. But given that, they have the same challenge to review all of their fees to make sure it's consistent with the cost of providing the services that they offer. And as a result, we are proposing a 4% increase in our service fees, a 4% increase in our availability fee, and a 4% increase in our connection fees. We're also proposing an increase in our irrigation meter fees to ensure that we're capturing our costs of purchasing the meters and installing them for the residents. be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Did anybody sign up, Cindy? Okay, then I'll close the public hearing.
I'd also like to state that 4% increase, one of the big drivers of that increase as well is the large capital project that we have underway that we're in the process of borrowing for, and that's the construction of a new water tower in the Kentland PUD.
Thank you, sir. Next public hearing is ordinance 0126, amendment of chapter 66, taxation of New Kent County Code to change the due date and penalty structure for annual real estate and personal property taxes. Mr. Hathaway.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, members of the board. This is a request from our county treasurer. Unfortunately, he is out of town today and not here to present this, so I am going to cover this one in his absence. But what you have before you is a proposal to change the December 5th tax due date, property tax due date. For many years, we've received comments from the public, concerns that our tax due date is too close to the holiday season, it's too close to Christmas, and we've been asked to space that out. So therefore, given those requests, we're proposing to change the December 5th due date to November 1st. We're also proposing to change the penalty structure. Currently, if you're 1 day past due of the due date, we assess a 10% penalty. What's being proposed here is if you pay within the first 30 days after the due date, the penalty is 5%. If you pay on that 31st day, then it goes to 10%. So we're providing a little more flexibility there. And also in the ordinance that you have before you, because this is new and this is a change, we understand it's going to take a little bit of time for some residents to get used to. For the first year, this December 5th, there's going to be a 30-day grace period where no penalty is charged, but on that 31st day, the 10% fee would be assessed. So. And that concludes my changes. Presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Did anybody sign up, Cindy? No. Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing. Any comments from board members?
There's a question for Mr. Hathaway, Mr. Chair. Nothing else about the way they can pay, where they can pay is changing, just the date, the due date, correct?
That is correct. But this year, we implemented a new software system that I think will make it a lot easier for our residents to pay online now. But yes, what's being proposed today, nothing else changes other than the due dates and the penalty structure.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, but it is worth noting that you can pay your taxes anytime
Yes.
throughout the year.
Yes.
I know Mrs. Chimnitz has tried to stress that to people, but sometimes they don't understand that, but I appreciate that. Any other discussion? And I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance O-03-2026, amending Chapter 66 of the New Kent County Code to change the due date and penalty structure for annual real estate and personal property tax.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Hathaway.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is elected officials reports. Ms. Stewart?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On April 29th, in conjunction with Ms. Inman and the transportation planning team, we'll be having another sidewalk information session at Lucanos in Eltham at 5:30. And this is to clarify for those that have been asking, this is as a result of our first meeting in December. We'll discuss the findings based on public input and then present options that include doing nothing. But many people were thinking that it was a totally new study. It's not. It's a continuation of what we've already done. And I encourage anyone that is interested in what's going on there to come. I know our deputy sheriff will be there to answer questions. And I know our transportation safety person, Mr. Ward, has committed to being there. So if you would like to join us, please do. And then April is the month of the military child. And I always try to make sure I take a moment to appreciate them. While I don't have children, I do get to see every day the children of service members that have very unique experiences. And as we grow in our population here, we're getting more and more military kids. And our schools are Purple Star schools, which recognizes unique experiences and caters to helping military children feel more connected to their community. So this month, while you're taking some quiet time, just spend an extra minute thanking and appreciating the children of our service members. So that's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Ms.
Chair.
Pierce.
Tonight, still going on, I believe, at Don Miguel's. There is part of the proceeds of all the sales at Don Miguel's tonight are going to New Kent West Point Relay for Life. So after you leave here, you could probably still go there and get dinner. Speaking of Relay for Life, it is this Saturday, April 18th from 2 to 6 at New Kent High School. They have a lot of neat things going on there, silent auction, food trucks. Go out. All of us know someone with cancer. So Saturday, April 25th is the New Kent Recycling event here in this complex. There'll be tire recycling, shredding. The Lions Club will be here also to turn in your eyeglasses, which I have a lot I can turn in now. Also, I wanted to announce that Tuesday, May the 5th, from 6:30 to 8:30, this is not our meeting, but it is going to take place here in the boardroom. Curtis Group has a proposal for Route 33, and they are having a community meeting to tell the community about what their proposal is. So that'll be Tuesday, May the 5th, between 6:30 and 8:30. And then finally, on May the 2nd, it's the first farmers market of the year. And also, we're doing a Page Road cleanup. We've adopted the highway. We've done an Adopt a Highway for Page Road in memory of the Honorable Patricia Page, and we do 2 cleanups a year, and we're doing one in this spring on May the 2nd at about 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Mr. Moyer.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm not having a sidewalk meeting this month. I'm going to be at a workforce conference in Harrisonburg, so I will not be able to be there. But I am kind of curious if my constituents do not have my email or my phone numbers or my address. I thought I'd be getting some comments about taxes or other things, but it seems that everything's good. But if you do have comments, please reach out. I'm willing to talk, want to listen, and that's what we're up here for. The other things that's happening is Bay Transit is a local rural transit company that we help fund. It's located at the airport right now, but they've just established at April 1st a micro transit that has the ability to give you a ride kind of on an Uber basis for $1 a ride if you're going to a Food Line, if you own a Dollar General and you need a ride, and doesn't matter if you're capable or not capable, and you need a ride, that's fine. Bay Transit also is available. They have a $5 ride that you can take to a doctor's office in Richmond and in Mechanicsville. So let's please use their services. The one way to look them up is go just to Bay Transit on the internet, or Bay Aging is the head company of that. So hopefully that can help out some people that need some help getting around.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Mr. Evelyn.
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman. I think everybody pretty much covered what's going on in New Kent.
Okay.
All right. The only thing I'll add is that last week I was in a Zoom meeting with Virginia Natural Gas and Ryan Holmes with possibly a new subdivision behind Brickshire. It's just the first meeting to discuss it. Also spoke at Woodhaven Shores annual POA meeting. And on April the 22nd, we're having a Providence Forest Streetscapes meeting at the Providence Forest Rec Center about improving the intersections of 155 and 60 from Ace Hardware up to the Don Miguel. And that's it. Thank you. Jamie, staff report.
Thank you. Just like to add with the farmers market. The farmers market will be from 9 to noon, beginning May 2nd, every Saturday, all the way through the end of August. We got some new vendors, and we have more vendors this year. So we hope you have the opportunity to join us. We also hope you have the opportunity to join us on May 7th on the front lawn of the administration building for the National Day of Prayer. It's non-denominational. Churches, ministers from all across the county will participate in this event. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Next is appointments delegated by district. Any appointments?
Let's see, Mr. Chair, I don't have any for this category, but I do, for public knowledge, I have 3 openings on the New Kent County Youth Community Service Committee. So if there's any member of the public that is a youth or knows a youth that is interested from District 5, please contact me or contact Ms. Watkins about that. Really would like to get those filled with some good folks.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Appointments not delegated by district.
Mr. Chair, I got a couple. I move to appoint Danny Green as an at-large representative to the Senior Volunteer Hall of Fame Selection Committee to complete a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2026. He lives in my district. Do you want to do this one? Okay. I move to appoint Brendan Dombrowski as a youth member of the New Kent County Youth Community Service Committee to serve a 1-year term ending December 31st, 2026. And as Ms. Stewart mentioned, I also have another opening on that committee, and I just had a good friend of mine resign who was on our library committee. She has family situations, and she was really good. She was a retired librarian, so it came in handy. So if District 2, if anybody has any library science backgrounds or interested in reading, let me know. Maybe we can see if we got a position for you as the committee member. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any others? That's for the not delegated by district, right? Yeah, I have one to add to that. I would like to move to appoint Mac Downs as an at-large representative to the Airport Advisory Commission to complete a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2028. This seat was held by John Noble, who has resigned. Thank you. Is that it? Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Next is appointments by regional boards and commissions. Any appointments? None? Okay. Any other business?
Can I, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Origi, you'll be scheduling some community meetings, correct? And how will those be advertised?
They will be advertised via social media, county website, potentially mailers,
we'll probably have some discussions to figure out direction and any changes that we want to make prior to those meetings to what's been proposed. But yeah, keep an eye out. No timeline as of yet. We'll probably coordinate those with the schools just because of space constraints in other parts of the county.
And I'd just like to state that even though it was in the TOD proposal, that it was a way to not have to have public hearings. I cannot speak for the rest of my board members, but that is absolutely not something that I am in favor of. It's probably not the time for me to bring this up again, but it's just something that a lot of my residents are not happy about. So that is not something that I will ever support. That's all.
Yeah, and we've, obviously received feedback through the planning email address. We cannot keep track of all of the Facebook comments, but we do see what's out there. I think that's a general theme. And again, it was a draft. So that is one thing that we'll probably be discussing on how to proceed prior to the community meetings. We don't want to hold community meetings with information that we know won't happen because that's wasted effort. So we'll figure out how to proceed.
And then once that occurs, the public hearing on that will be June, July?
Whatever the timeline needs to be.
Okay.
The community meeting is not the public hearing.
Right.
The public hearing will be advertised in accordance with Virginia law when we get to that point. We want to hopefully iron out what is the, if the board's will is to proceed in some form or fashion, then we want to have the best possible package to present at the public hearing.
And it would be the whole package.
Yes.
It would be, if we're not going to do the TOD, then we are going to do this. If that's the direction that.
Yes, I feel that we should iron out direction, whatever that looks like, prior to public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other business? The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Supervisors will be held at 6 p.m. on Monday, May 11th, 2026. And the next work session will be held at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, April the 28th, 2026, both in the boardroom of the County Administration Building. I will make a motion.
So, Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn.
Yeah. Thank you. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate your attendance.